Hopefully it's recording. So where are you from, man?
The U.S.
Okay, so you challenged me to a debate. I asked you for some
Yeah.
propositions. You told me, let me see, you told me two propositions. I'm gonna need some clarity on them. So you said the first proposition, I don't know, maybe why we shouldn't be eating meat. And the second
Yeah.
proposition, another thing I think we can debate is whether or not disruptive activism works. So I'm not sure.
hmm
I'm gonna need some clarity on those to see if I even disagree with what you're saying there. So what do you mean by the first proposition? What do you think we disagree about on when you say maybe we shouldn't be eating meat?
well, me, I don't know. I mean, you're a vegan, right?
Yeah. So is the question is that you think I think we shouldn't eat meat in any circumstances or something like that?
No, I mean, you should be able to eat meat if you want. Like, if you don't want, then that's fine as well.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking is because I don't know if you know this, but uh, eating meat is not necessarily against vegan ethics. There's some situations in which eating meat would be ethical under vegan uh, philosophy. So, for example, roadkill would be fine if an animal dies naturally. Like I don't see a moral issue in somebody eating that animal, or if somebody makes like lab grown meat and that's meat, so I don't see any ethical issues in eating that. So I guess I'm gonna ask you a question to see where is it that we disagree in that first proposition. So do you think violating human rights is wrong, like for example holocausting humans?
No, you're one of those, aren't you? Those. God damn it.
So are you gonna dodge my question or are you gonna answer?
You're one of those people who compare eating animals to the fucking Holocaust.
I'm not comparing. I'm just I'm seeking consistency in your uh, moral values on your ethical system. So, yes or no question: do you think holocausting humans for hamburgers is wrong? Yes or no?
Well, yeah. I mean, but humans. Well, I mean, humans are animals, but you know, but yeah, it's wrong.
Okay, so do you think eating? Presumably you think holocausting animals for hamburgers is fine. So you know what I'm gonna
I
ask you.
mean, yeah.
What's true of animals that if true of humans would justify the same treatment to us?
I don't know. I know humans are smarter.
So that's the
Uh,
difference between us and them that justifies the differential treatment.
I mean, yeah. Humans are. They're on top of the food chain.
Okay, so you mentioned second thing there. So let's go at it one at a time. You can mention multiple traits, but you mentioned intelligence first. So do
hmm
you agree that some humans are intellectually disabled and are less intelligent than like you, for example, and even you could say that some humans are in the same level of intelligence as animals, like very intellectually disabled humans or something like that?
No, what?
Do you agree that there's intellectually disabled humans? Yes or no?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, can you imagine a human existing in a similar subjective state as that of an animal? Like, for example, a human that's so mentally disabled that they can't communicate using language, for example, they can't use tools. Uh, can you imagine a human like that?
Uh, I'm sure there's something like that.
Yeah, sure. There's people right like that right now, like mentally disabled people. Would it be okay to Holocaust them for hamburgers?
Well, no.
Okay, then the
It's just.
morally
It's just.
the thing is you can't say that the morally significant difference is intelligence and then say it's not justified when it's in the human context. So that means that the morally significant difference between us and them is not intelligence. So you contradicted yourself. You propose you claim that humans that intelligence is the distinction that justifies the asymmetrical treatment, but then you said that it is actually not the difference. So what's the difference then?
When did I say that?
When I asked you, you told me we're smarter than them, and that's what the thing that justifies the differential treatment.
I don't know. Okay.
Then what is true of them? Let me ask you the question again. Intelligence didn't work because you do not agree with that reductio of holocausting the disabled. So let me ask you the question again. What's true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify the same treatment for us?
Humans are humans and animals are animals. Like it just doesn't work. All right.
Okay, so you are arbitrarily valuing the trait humanity per se, and you're saying that that's the difference that justifies the difference in treatment. So let me ask you this: how do you define human?
Well, okay, yeah. Humans are on top of the food chain, so that's the reason.
That's the definition of human. Uh, the
Well,
being
no,
doesn't.
no, no, no,
I'm just
no,
I'm
no.
just seeking.
I'm not.
Sorry, you're gonna say something.
No, I'm not. We're not talking about that anymore. I'm saying that humans we eat animals because we're on top of the food chain.
So my question to you, that's another justification. We can talk about that in a second, but I'm seeking some clarity in when you said that we're humans and they're animals, and that's the difference that justifies the asymmetrical treatment. I'm just seeking clarity on what you mean by human.
Well, human, like you know, like you and me, human, like
So are you taking some sort of like biological definition of
yeah,
humanity, like
biological,
DNA, for example?
yeah.
Okay, so if we were to find a group of people that looked exactly like us, but it turned out that they don't share our DNA, like let's say the Neanderthals are still alive or something, or there's some sort of sapient being that we hadn't discovered before, we turned out to discover them here in this planet or in another planet. They are sapient species with civilization, science, philosophy, all that stuff that we value, technology, but it turned out that they don't share our DNA. Would it be fine to holocaust them for hamburgers?
No, 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 no,
Then that's
no,
your
no, not
second contradiction.
bro. Like I don't think that even exists. Like you fucking stupid.
That doesn't exist is not an answer to my hypothetical. It's a hypothetical. Like in ethics, hypotheticals are important because they get to the core of what is it that you value. I asked you what's the difference that justifies the asymmetrical treatment, and you said it's humanity. And then when we define humanity as DNA, and I asked you, hey, look at this being that is not logically impossible that a being like that is aliens could exist. Neanderthals used to exist. It's possible that some sort of being here in this planet doesn't share DNA and looks similar to us. There's no logical contradiction in imaginary scenario like that. So uh, you disagree with that, with holocausting beings like that. So you contradicted yourself again. That means that the difference can't be humanity. So what do you mean then?
All right, so a human belonging to man or mankind, having the qualities or arbitraries of a man or I don't know, a human. Like, all right, just look up what a human is.
Okay, and let's say we find a definition. Let's say the definition is a certain approximation to the DNA, typically called Homo sapiens DNA, like in the Human Genome Project or something like that. What let's say, and then say, let's say we found a group of humans, and we looked at their DNA, and it turned out that they aren't human by that definition. They are not Homo sapiens. They're from a different species. They are subjectively identical to us. They use language, they use technology, but they're not humans. Would it be fine to holocaust them for hamburgers? Yes or no?
You want sure? Yes.
It would be fine. Are you just saying that because you actually think that's fine, or you just want to avoid uh, any further uh, questioning?
Kind of. But like humans are also, like I said earlier, are on top of the food chain.
Okay,
Of
might makes right. So let's say it turned out that we're actually not on the top of the food chain. Let's say that like some sort of apex predator arose, some sort of alien or something like that, and we were no longer on top of the food chain. Would it be okay to holocaust us for hamburgers because we're no longer on top of the food chain?
we are on top of the food chain. Where you're getting this at?
It's a hypothetical again, so that doesn't answer my hypothetical. My question is, if it turned out that we weren't on top of the food chain anymore, would it be fine to holocaust us for hamburgers?
Well, I mean, if you're the species that are above us, then yeah, I mean, sure.
What was that? Can you repeat?
If you're like whatever's above us, like whatever species or whatever's above us on the food chain, if that was the case, then yeah, sure.
And that would be ethical on your view.
Yeah, sure.
That
Yeah.
would be fine. You would see another being holocausting us for hamburgers, and you would say that is totally fine according to your worldview.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's insane. I think that's something most people are gonna disagree with you about. I think most people would say that holocausting humans is wrong, and nobody should do that.
I mean, humans holocausting humans. I mean, like,
I mean, it also extends logically from the thing you said, holocausting humans, because you said the morally significant difference is being on top of the food chain, and you said it would be fine for some other being higher than us to holocaust you, but it would also extend logically from your view that humans holocausting other humans would be fine, because if the morally significant difference is being on top of the food chain, and if it turned out we're not no longer on top of the food chain, then I would presume, according to your view, it would be fine to Holocaust us.
we but we are, and like if there was something above us, then yeah, it would be fine for them to eat us. But there's not.
So let's say there is hypothetical again. Let's say there is something above us. Would it be fine
Yeah.
for humans to Holocaust other humans for consumption?
But no,
Okay, then you contradicted yourself for a third time. I'm going to explain why. You claim that the morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies the difference in treatment is being on top of the food chain. Then I created a situation and we're no longer on top of the food chain, and it would be wrong to Holocaust us. So that's another contradiction, man. So your moral system is full of inconsistencies, man. uh, is there anything else? Like, how do you justify your actions, man? Why harm animals? And
because
exploit.
they taste so fucking good. I mean, like you should try some.
It tastes good, so taste pleasure justifies violence.
Yeah, I mean they do taste good.
So let's say. So let me ask you a question again, because you haven't provided a satisfactory answer to the question. I still don't see a morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies the different treatment. You haven't been able to provide consistent or coherent answer. So let's me does the differences taste? So if humans were to taste good, it would be fine to Holocaust us for taste pleasure.
No, no. Humans
Okay,
are just more important. That's just a fact. Like
humans are what do you say? Humans are more important.
they're just more important. And that's just it's just a fact. Like
Okay, so you could say that there's a hierarchy of importance or something like that, but let me ask you, what constitutes for us being more important? Like, what's different between us and animals that make us more important, according to you?
uh,
Because you agreed earlier that we are both animals, so we're both sentient beings that come from the same planet. But you say one is more important than the other. I don't necessarily disagree, by the way, but what makes us more important than them? And all that's the first question I want to answer you. So what is it that makes us more important than them? And the second question is, still, even if animals are less important, why would it be fine to holocaust them for taste pleasure just because they're a little less important? They're still important. They still should be. We should still give moral consideration to them, right? So the, answer the first question first. What's the difference that makes us more important?
uh, hmm. uh, you got me there. I actually don't know.
So if you don't know what makes us more important, do you agree that it's possibly not justified what you're doing to animals right now? If you don't even know what makes us more important than them and justifies uh, their holocaust?
Bro, stop. Why are you calling it a Holocaust, bro? It can't even. You can't even compare it to the Holocaust. Like,
What do you mean? The dictionary definition of Holocaust is a slaughter on a mass scale. You can Google it right now. That applies to the animal case. The we're slaughtering them on a mass
that's
scale
true.
so that it fits the definition of Holocaust. What do you mean? I'm not referring to the historical Holocaust of the Nazis. I'm just using the word Holocaust as it appears in when you Google it in Google. The first definition is slaughter on a mass scale, slaughter or destruction on a
It
mass
literally
scale.
says Holocaust, genocide of European Jews.
Can you Google that again and use the Google definition? The first definition that appears when you Google the word Holocaust. You Google this
All right,
Holocaust
here it
definition.
is: destruction or slaughter on a mass scale.
Okay, so can you tell me how that doesn't apply to animals? Are we not slaughtering them on a mass scale?
I mean, we are, but like,
Yeah, we're talking about 70 billion land animals, or close to 80 billion land animals every year, trillions of sea life. That's definitely destruction or slaughter on a mass scale. So it fits that definition. Do you agree? Do you agree? Yes or no?
I'm looking up something else. All right.
Does it agree? Does it accord with the definition that you just read? Yes or no?
Oh yeah, but no at the same time. Like, it
That's
just
a
doesn't. All right.
contradiction. If you're saying yes and no at the same time, that's literally a contradiction. So does it concord with does it accord with the definition? Yes or no?
Okay, it does. All right.
It's a little
Okay,
tight.
so uh, you haven't been able to justify your uh, eating of flesh. So what do you want to talk about now?
I guess the. Mm, uh, what was it? I guess disruptive activism or something.
Yeah,
What
so
was it?
that's the second proposition. I'm gonna need some clarity on that one as well. So you said I think we can debate whether or not disruptive activism actually works. So what do you mean by that? Do you think it works or it doesn't work?
I think it doesn't work. I think it
Okay,
just makes people hate you,
okay,
and it just doesn't work. It makes people want to not listen to you or the message or whatever.
okay. So what do you mean by it doesn't work? It doesn't work according to what goal? The goal of liberating animals or something like that?
Uh, yeah.
Okay, so what's your evidence or your argument for it not working?
Just look at Tash Peterson's comment section, and all the evidence is right there.
I mean, I don't take trolls in her comment section being evidence that it doesn't work. It could be
Like,
that the people that it is working on are not the ones typing in the comment section. It could be that the vegans that she's creating are just stopping their consumption of animals, and they don't see the point in like being in her comment section or something like that. I see a lot of people showing
oh,
support to her and saying that that they became vegan because they heard the message from her. So that would be evidence against your claim.
no, but like, imagine going to like being at a store or whatever, and this bitch just walks in like screaming. Yeah, I don't think you would want to listen to them.
I mean that's an empirical question. I don't know. It could be that you're right that people are more resistant to the message if you're disruptive, but it could be the opposite. Could be true. It could be that it raises more eyebrows. It creates more views because it is disruptive. More people hear about it. It appears in the news and shit like that. She has been arrested, so people like know about her and stuff. So it creates more people listening to the message, or not creates more people. Uh, it makes more people listen to the message. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't see any evidence for it not working. Like, uh, do you agree that it actually could be working? Like it's actually an
Uh,
empirical question. It could go either way.
Maybe indirectly it's working, but
What do you mean indirectly?
like obviously the people that are there don't obviously like it. She kind of I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
But so you claim that disruptive activism doesn't work. Do you agree that that proposition takes the form of a scientific hypothesis. So, in other words, it's something that could be studied empirically. Like, let's say, social psychologists studied whether or not disruptive activism creates social change. Uh, do you agree that it could be the case that scientists discover that it actually does work?
I mean, maybe.
Sure. So you're agnostic about it then. Do you concede to the proposition then? Do you concede that it is not necessarily the case that disruptive activism doesn't work?
Well, I still don't really think it does.
I mean, but you're agnostic about it, right? Or are you saying that you know it doesn't work?
I don't think it really works that much.
So you lean in that direction, but that's really more of a belief than knowledge. So do you agree that it possibly does work? It's not impossible for it to work?
okay, I think it could be possible that it works.
Okay, so I think we agree then. We're both agnostic about it. So, dude, again, why the hell murder animals if you can just eat something else?
I don't know.
Like, why do the same thing every other idiot is doing? Follow the culture, follow like cruel traditions when you could, uh, you know, uh, choose compassion instead, for example.
I feel like a lot of vegans just go vegan because they want to be part of a group. Like, I'm not saying you are. It's just they want to be part of some group, and they just go.
It could be, but I don't think I would call those people vegans. If they're just vegans because of like fashion or like a trend or something like that, I wouldn't call that person vegan. Do you know what the definition of veganism is?
Okay, definition of veganism.
We can talk about the vegan society's definition, which I don't really like that much. But my definition of veganism is just a logical extension of human rights
Oh,
applied
what?
to other sentient beings. So it's a moral philosophy.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
really just the practice of eating only food not good for animals, or typically avoid animal products. It never says anything about saving animals or anything. Or it says you
yeah,
have to be an
the,
animal rights activist.
Sure, like definitions are not like objective. Like people have different definitions for things. But if you go to the vegan society's definition in their website, the definition is actually something like it's a philosophy or way of life which seeks to exclude all forms of exploitation and cruelty to animals as far as possible and practicable. So that's the definition. So according to that definition, that most ethical vegans agree on, it is a moral philosophy. So it's not necessarily something to do with eating animals, because, for example, it wouldn't be vegan to wear leather, for example, or to pay for animal abuse in other ways, like for entertainment or something like that. So, like, if you have seen Dash Peterson's activism, she doesn't only talk about not eating meat. She talks about like not wearing wool, not supporting
Yeah,
horse riding, stuff like
yeah,
that. So it's
I saw all those. I saw all those as well. And
yeah.
once
So
again, kind of the same thing. It doesn't work.
you what do you mean doesn't work? You agreed that you're
Her
agnostic about it.
activism doesn't work.
So you're going back to claiming it doesn't work? Didn't you say you're agnostic about it?
I think it could work. But I personally myself does. I think I could, but personally myself, I don't think it does. That's just my
Okay, and
opinion.
that's your opinion, but you could be wrong, and you agreed. So again, we don't necessarily disagree about that. We're both agnostic about it. I think it does work. So you lean in the direction that it doesn't work. I've seen some evidence that it does work. I've seen many people commenting to her all the time that they changed because of her, whatever. And then the activism of other people, like Joey Armstrong, he's not necessarily disruptive, but
Oh, really?
so so again, uh, do you now agree with that definition that veganism is an ethical philosophy? It's not just not eating meat, for example.
Yeah, I think it's just the practice of eating food, not to. Yeah, it's just not eating food from animals. I think that's just what it is, or wearing leather and things like that.
So I don't agree with that necessarily. Like not eating meat from animals. Like I could I could see some situations in which eating meat from animals wouldn't be non-vegan. Because if veganism is a logical extension of human rights, which is my position, I don't necessarily see any rights violation in just eating roadkill. For example, an animal that died in an accident or an animal that died naturally. If some weirdo wanted to eat that animal, I don't see necessarily an ethical issue with that, or with eating lab-grown meat. So I don't agree that veganism's definition is just not eating meat, because that's not what we care about. Veganism is an applied ethic, and the reason we have this lifestyle, this applied ethic, is because it follows logically from some of our values. Like, we think animals should have rights, animals should have moral consideration, should be respected because they're sentient beings with the capacity for suffering, for example. So again, why the fuck mess around with them, rape them, torture them,
What?
holocaust
Rape?
them?
Yeah, I go up to a field every day and rape a fucking cow. I do that every day.
So do you know about the practice of artificial insemination in the dairy industry, for example?
Yeah, I do. I literally do that. I do that to cows every day.
So what do you do in artificial insemination?
I stick my dicks in a cow's vagina.
Come on, dude, like, get
All
serious.
right.
What do people do in artificial insemination?
All right. Well, I don't know. Aren't they like?
They stick their whole arm into the cow's anus
Yeah.
and they grab the cervix and they inject full semen without the cow's consent, because they're not available. They have no ability to consent. So if we did that to a human female, would that be rape? Yes or
I
no?
mean, yeah, but
So
yeah.
again, like, I'm just using a non-anthropocentric definition of rape. So I do think animals get raped in that, or sexually violated in that way. I think they're tortured because the industries have them in confined spaces. They sometimes remove or castrate them, remove body parts, like the chicken's beaks, the pig's testicles and stuff like that, without anesthesia or anything like that. So I think that's torture. And we murder them all at the end. We holocaust them, slaughter them on mass scale. So why be okay with that? Why pay for that?
Animals are they're so good. They just taste good. Like
Okay, so you're back to taste good then. Okay, I think you have no argument. So you're back to bacon, though. You're
bacon.
again. Why
Yeah.
the hell would it be a justification of violence for something to taste good? If you tasted good, would it be fine for somebody to stab you to death and eat your body just because you,
No.
you eat good? Like, is Jeffrey Dahmer
Oh yeah.
a moral person for you just because he liked the taste of his victims?
No.
Okay, dude. So you have no argument against veganism. So if you wanna give a closing statement, you can go first. Or I can go first, and you can say last something else that you want to say. Who do
Uh,
you want to say the closing statement first?
I don't know. You can say it.
Sure. So you challenged me to a debate. You told me that you wanted to debate about two specific propositions. The first one is that we shouldn't eat meat. The second one, that disruptive activism doesn't work. I seek clarity because I don't necessarily agree that we shouldn't eat meat. I think it is not necessarily against vegan ethics to eat meat in some situations. I asked you to name the trait. You said you provided a couple of answers. You said intelligence. That didn't work. You contradicted yourself because you admitted that holocausting the disabled wouldn't be ethical. Then you mentioned top of the food chain. That didn't work either, because if we weren't on top of the food chain, it would still be unethical to holocaust us. Uh, what was the third thing that you said? Humanity. We found a situation in which we found subjectively identical beings without human DNA, subjectively identical to us, and you wouldn't agree that it's ethical to holocaust them. So you found no answer to the name the trait questions. That means uh, you are not able to provide a justification or a difference between us and them that justifies the difference in treatment. In other words, you're not justified in violating their rights. I see no reason for us to not give rights to animals when you can't even find a significant difference. you then claim that we're just more important. You
We are
couldn't
though.
you couldn't tell me with a reason why we're more important from them. Do you have an answer now? Or do you want to go back to that, or do you want me? You just want to finish the debate?
We'll just finish.
So you said that we do have a difference, by the way. Like I don't think the debate is over then. So let's talk about that. So what makes us more important? And even if we are more important, because I don't necessarily disagree. I think there's a hierarchy of value. I think humans, for the most part, have more value because I value other traits like sapience. I think we have a greater degree of sentience than a lot of animals. But just because we're more important in some situations, that doesn't justify holocausting them just because they have less value. Like they still have some value, so why not extend moral consideration to them?
I don't know.
Exactly, you don't know, so you can't justify your views, which means uh, you should probably go vegan, man, because you don't even see a difference that justifies the difference in treatment. So what's stopping you from being vegan, man? What's your obstacle?
I just don't want to. That's it. I just don't want to.
Okay, you don't want to, but you agreed with me that. So do you concede that you have no justification for eating animals?
No, I'm gonna still eat
You
animals.
okay, but you weren't able to provide a justification. Yes or no?
Okay, I wasn't. All right.
Okay, so then you're gonna continue to do something that is according to your view unethical because you don't see any reason for it to be ethical. So if you were, let me ask you this: if you were just raised in a culture that still had human slavery, for example, and some people were trying to argue, man, there's no significant difference between us and them that justifies slavery, so why enslave them? And you say, I just want to, man, I just like having slaves. Does that justify slavery?
No.
Okay, so then you're in that same situation in the animal context. You are supporting something that you can't even justify morally. So anyway, again, you couldn't find an answer to why they're more important, and then you found the second proposition of disruptive activism doesn't work. We both agree that it's not that it's this. We both agree that we're agnostic about it. So do you want to say anything else?
Not really.
Okay, man. I guess I hope you reflect on your values and that you go vegan soon.
Yeah, that's not gonna
Take care,
happen.
man.
Bye.
Okay, so thank you by the way for debating me. I think this conversation will create vegans because a lot of people are gonna hear how ridiculous the carnage position is and how it doesn't have any justification.
So you
How you couldn't.
putting this on YouTube?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, take care, my friend.
All right. Bye.